All right, so the snow has taken a little while to get here. It was definitely warmer this morning than expected. It will snow. The heaviest snow is expected between noon and 5 p.m. This is going to be cut into two areas. I'm going to try to cover the short term really quickly here. Here's a low forming. The snow that was going to come in took a little longer to get here, but it doesn't mean it won't happen. We do get the snow. You see it with that low pressure. Then moves on up. I originally thought this wasn't going to be a big system, so it got to a moderate system, and then they're calling for a snowstorm. But I think 2 to 4, maybe 5 inches is probably what we're going to see versus the 4 to 6. A lot of things look like potential there. 3 to 5, maybe, but low area on that 3. More or less on the 5. Well, 5 could happen in still the higher elevations. So here's a close-up. Here we are in Loudoun. Just pushing it into the future here. You see the heavier snow later. There's even heavier pockets to our east, and that's part of what I deal. But there is some stronger or heavier snow as this upper level support for colder air kind of comes through. It could really snow heavily. But here, by 7 p.m., we're gone. I mean, it's out of here. Between 4 and 7, it quickly exits to the east. To see how much the GFS was showing for snow totals. Again, I think this may, we'll have to see how much it shows. Still, with the quick moving and things like that, the GFS has always been a little more robust. 3 to 5 inches is what's showing, maybe 6 here in the highest elevations, similar to what I was painting on my map. I think that you get a knock an inch off. So 2 to 4, here in the eastern part, and it could be probably 2 to 4, anything from, let's say, the Percival area, Round Hill area east, and then maybe a few 5 inches west of there. We'll have to see. Got to knock off an inch because it's just been too warm here. Let's see what the European and the NAM, the short range model, show. And here is the European, which has always been a little bit drier. I mean, it's showing 2 to 3 inches here in the east, and to 4. I mean, that's the 2 to 4, and like I said, maybe some 5 inches. The deal is that later on this afternoon, the really cold stuff's getting involved in the upper atmosphere, and that could increase the ratios for the snow. That's why maybe some 5 inches are going to show up here just from that. But we got that warm air this morning to overcome. So, 2 to 4, 3 to 5, I mean, maybe that's going to end up being what it is, but it's possible we get a little less than that. It's also possible that when that upper level cold air comes through this afternoon, we get some very heavy rates, so maybe 2 inches of snow in that alone. If you already have an inch or so on the ground, you get your 3 to 5 inches that we were mentioning before. Just going to have to see how this pans out today. It's going to be very interesting. Now, short-term models are a little more telltale at this point. And the good news is I'm so late in the game that we already have the noon model run or the midday model run here. So if we look at this on the NAM, we're looking now at 2 to 4 inches, 2 to 3 inches, only. And this has always been this dry. So whereas the lower resolution models have been much higher in their precipitation amounts, this has always been a 2 to 4 inch snow looking thing here on the NAM, the NAM model. That continues to be the case. And now we'll look at another short-term model. It's more of a convective model, so maybe that's not that great. Hold on. And honestly, it's gotten a little bit better. Now it's showing the 3 to 4 to 5 inches now. Earlier it was much drier, so hey, there you go. Maybe it's picking up on this band that I mentioned earlier that's much colder. It could potentially increase the amounts. This is with its higher ratio potential accounting for model shows. Sorry, it took a bit to load. So it's actually bringing in, this is good. So Kuchera tries to look at in Kuchera you're not seeing that, but this is the model format for the snow. You can either get the 10 to 1, which is what I was looking for originally, or the Kuchera, which tries to look at the actual lower atmosphere temperatures to try to predict how much snow there'll be. And if there's higher ratio snow, it tries to pick that up, and if there's lower ratio snow, it tries to pick that up. Because it's so warm, look, the 2 to 4 inches looks very much the case. 2 to 4. I mean, you guys see the models are showing 2 to 4 with the warm air grounds this morning. 2 to 4 looks possible. You'll get a few spots, maybe they get a little bit more like 5 inches. So 2 to 4, I think, is more the rule. Less as you go east, more as you go west, with pockets of a little bit higher. All right, so that's today's outlook. If you were looking just for the update there, that's what we're thinking, and what I'm thinking, at least for the snow totals. So that's the first 5 minutes. Sorry, it's going to be kind of long. Now let's look at the national picture and show you kind of like the long term, where it definitely shows a warming pattern. but a few chances of something to watch. All right, here we are back to today. This is earlier today before the snow got in. Here we are in Loudoun County. There's a few things I want to point out just because of nationally it's kind of interesting. First of all, here's that snowstorm coming through. Maybe some heavier snow, like I said, in the afternoon than this morning. But anyway, that comes through, drops our snow, and things get over by about 6, 7 p.m. Now it stays cold, and it's going to be frigid cold through about Thursday this week. The other thing I point out is, yes, here's this Gulf Coast snowstorm. You gotta say, I mean, that's suppressive. At one point I was wondering if this would form up here and cause us snow. I got a little excited. It looked big at times, but it really backed off because of how far south and suppressive this cold area is. It's pushed stuff all the way out to the Gulf of Mexico. People who were excited about the snowfalls here in the southeast, I was, just because of the anomalous, fact that it could come, are going to be upset because this is so suppressive, this cold air. It's pushing it right off the East Coast. And so not as much amplification are coming up the coast as one showed because it's 1036 highs south, and it just has pushed this low out, and the low is not very strong, so it moves on out. Now later this week, we do see this low pressure system form along the East Coast. Where it forms, when it forms, how it forms, it can really depend on this trough back here. And I tried to highlight this just a little bit. I'll move it. But you see this trough kind of building here. And this is called a positive tilted trough. What you want to see if you're a snow lover and you want to see something off the East Coast is, instead of it being like that, is that you have something that's tilted more neutral here in the middle and then goes negative here as it heads to the east. And what I see, or what we see here, that's a little bit interesting, is that as things move forward, whoops, I really jumped forward. As things move forward, slowly that gets more to the neutral tilt here. It never really goes negative, and that's why that low just gets released. I mean, it's trying to go negative here. I just wonder if this reflection of this low pressure system is going to be closer to the coast, or maybe even closer to our area. We'll have to wait and see. This will be Friday, Saturday time frame. Regardless, after that moves through, the high to the south is pushed now, winds to the southwest. I mean, you can see them here. These wind directions are this way. And because of that, we're going to warm up. And we're going to see a warm up as we go into next week, which is a pattern breakdown. You now see troughiness or colder weather going pushed down to the west. This is more of a zonal pattern. Doesn't mean this time of year you can't get something to pull cold air down into it. It's very possible it could, but it'd have to be the right setup, the right timing for that to happen. The best way you see that is exactly what you're going to see here in the long term. This is long range, so don't put anything or put any stock in it. Is that a fronts move through and low pressures move through, and it's pulled a little bit of cold air, and then we get an overriding situation where some snow forms. So maybe as we head into the very end of January, we get a chance for another snowstorm before I think the pattern even breaks down further and we really warm up. This is super warm air, but it doesn't mean it's going to stick around. There could be shots of colder or cooler air in there. We'll just have to see how things pan out. But I would tell you the overall supportive pattern, when you look at the upper level lows and what they call teleconnections, means statistical climatological information, it says we won't be in the best phase for snow at this point. Doesn't mean we can't snow. It just means we won't be in the best favorable setup. Things could change about mid-month of February, and we still have February and March to look through for potential snow. It's just it doesn't stick around as long, nor does it get as cold during that time period. All right, so that's actually all I have to show. Basically, we get the snow this afternoon. Will be kind of heavy as we get into the afternoon. It will get colder, and everything that falls out there and is on the roads is going to freeze up as a sheet of ice. That means Tuesday, with the super cold temperatures, winds, and potential iciness, that maybe schools will be impacted. And just from the coldness, I wouldn't be surprised if Wednesday, Thursday schools are impacted from start times, just because of how cold it gets overnight. A note, if you have liquids or anything in your cars that are not suited for cold air, like you happen to leave cans of drink or some other type of liquid in your car, isn't it so cold it's going to pop it open, because it's when liquids get cold, they expand. That's why pipes burst. Wouldn't be a bad idea to drip your pipes as we go in the next couple of days. Drip for your faucets, just allow water to go there, especially if you're more susceptible. And if you have not nearly or thought of getting your hose babes prepared, turn off the water to them and drain them out today. This is not a time for you to mess around. It's going to be really frigid cold. My hat's off to and my heart's out to those who have to take care of pets and animals and livestock and farming. You guys are going to have a hard several days, but it looks like after that your reward will be a warm-up, even warmer than what we've been dealing with for quite a bit. All right, that was a long talk, long info. A lot to talk about, and yeah, I'm a little disappointed. We didn't wake up to a lot of snow falling, but I think this afternoon will be kind of a white wonderland time, so it'll be interesting, and we'll see. That's all.